You're up, Commissioner.
All right. The adjustments on the agenda for today is I canceled the budget meetings for later. Other than that, everything should be the same.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we accept the amended agenda for the day.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. First item is our indigent business.
Yes, Chantel Laulu with Indigent Services. We do have case number 2023-0026. It's an application for cremation expenses submitted through Cornelson Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. The deceased is a 69-year-old male. He's a Bannock County resident, was not a veteran. With the information that we were able to obtain, it does appear that the deceased meets all Idaho Code criteria to be eligible for assistance. Bannock County is the last resource for payment of these final expenses, and there is no responsible party available for reimbursement of this request at this time.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, on case number 2023-0026, I'd make a motion that we approve the request.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Just come right on up here.
Come on up.
Come right on up.
Is that us?
You're up.
Oh boy.
They told me you had to be right on time.
They did?
No, we run a little quick.
All right. So we ready to get started?
Yep.
So I'm Todd Mauger with Bannock County Juvenile Justice.
I'm Dr. Matt Torbenson, fourth-year psychiatry resident.
Good morning, I'm Rex Force, ISU Vice President for Health Sciences.
So we're here today to review and request a signature on the program letter of agreement for the University of Utah Psychiatric Residency Program that's being run through ISU. With that, we're also, I was going to bring up the cost of it is $13,423. When we wrote the grant, we had estimated it being around $12,000. Just so the commission's aware, I've spoke with the state and looked at a budget revision. When we have an extra $1,600 in travel. One of the vehicle that we're going to purchase was actually cheaper than the line item. I have the project adjustment request here. It's been reviewed with Jason, and if this is approved, we'll submit it so we can cover that extra cost.
Okay. Questions?
Dr. Torbenson, what do you envision, how do you envision this relationship working?
As we've been working together and we've been meeting the goal, we know that kids that come in, diagnostics tend to be really difficult to get access to for kids, and our goal is to be able to help parents and kids come in and help get them clarity in terms of maybe the underlying mental health conditions that are going on, and help them guide then treatment in the community. And so the goal is to help get quicker access to diagnostics and be able to then help expedite care.
So when we look at Matt's situation with the assessments, we know right now that 83% of youth in our middle schools and high schools have some type of anxiety or depression. That was a study that was done by the Blue Cross of Idaho Foundation.
I'm sorry, what percent
83%.
of when you're talking about Bannock County?
Well, I'm talking about in Idaho right now. So 83% of youth in the high schools have anxiety and depression. And
Did
this
you
is
say high school and middle school?
high school and middle school.
Is this clinical depression or?
It's diagnosable is what I've been told. So One of the specialties he's going to focus on is that anxiety and depression. We have kids that are being referred to juvenile justice for truancy issues, and that anxiety and depression is one of the key factors, I believe, in which is keeping them from going into the school settings. So as we run through the screening and assessment process with the assessment center, we'll be doing the juvenile inventory for functioning, and then if they are flagged in those areas where they may have anxiety and depression, we're going to do what they call a PHQ-9 and a GAD-7, which is a screening tool for the anxiety, and then that information will be passed on to Matt, and the families will have an opportunity to meet with him, go through the psychiatric assessment, and receive recommendations as to what are the best means to treat them. When you look at the assessment center itself, we began with a Tier 1 assessment center in place where we were just doing screening and assessments. The addition of the University of Utah Psychiatric Program will allow us to go to that next tier where we're doing clinical assessments and case management, as well as the screening and assessments.
I want to follow up on that question on the percentage. Do you agree with that percentage, Matt? Or Dr. Torbenson, excuse me?
Yeah, I'd say, in terms of symptomology, I think the 83%, especially since there would be symptoms, maybe not reaching all the way to clinical, but symptoms that are affecting kids' ability to engage in school. We've seen it over the time of COVID and even previously, just how much it has impacted kids and their ability to cope and the things that are going on. And these kids that we're seeing come from, they're going through a lot that are going to come into this assessment center, and I would imagine quite a few of them, at least I've seen in my past year working here, that they're going to reach clinical need, quite a few more.
So given that, I'm assuming you've kind of factored that into a little bit, your volume of patients that you or kids that you anticipate seeing. Do you anticipate a different volume with this, or have you already kind of factored that in?
So I think it's kind of an unknown. I know that we were, as far as our diversion intake unit, seeing about 450 intakes a year on average. And so I believe, I'm hoping that with kind of the open door policy, the new center, it's going to be trauma informed. There's not going to be stereotyping youth and families that are coming in looking for help and connecting them with the juvenile justice system. I believe we will see an upswing. I think it's going to take a little bit of work, right, as far as we put policies and procedures and open up the different pathways to the building. I do feel, though, that if we are able to target these kids and families at an earlier age with the intervention and prevention strategies before they are being referred to the juvenile justice system, I think we may see an influx at first, but after a year or two, I think we'll have those services in place before those, I'd say the manifested challenges and problems come to a head where the juvenile justice system and law enforcement is being involved, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, okay.
Dealing with the youth down in the Marsh Valley area, I see a lot of them that can't handle school. So then they go to homeschool or to, different phases, and that scares me. I mean, society, you have to be out. You have to handle the situation when you're out there and learn to adjust with that. And then just here in the last month, our vandalism up at the event center has skyrocketed. So we need to get some control, some help somewhere. My only question for you, are you all as excited as we are for this facility and what it can provide?
So we haven't talked as much about the involvement of ISU in this, but we have, I think, lots of opportunities for our faculty and students to be involved with the center. So with our social work program, our counseling program, our psychology program, in addition to Dr. Torbenson and the psychiatry residency that we run jointly with the University of Utah. So we're absolutely excited about it from the ISU side, right? Training and opportunities for our students, as well as the partnership, which we're always happy to have those kinds of partnerships, and the opportunity that it provides to provide better access to care for these kids and provide that diversion services. So we're very excited about it. And I think there's going to be more to come. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
This is really the first step, is getting our psychiatry residents in there to help provide some assessment and care for these kids to be able to make sure we're meeting all of their mental health needs. So.
And this is, I want to just follow up on a conversation you and I had last week about how many kids a week are being seen up at the ER for suicidal thoughts and tendencies. How quickly do you think we can kind of get Dr. Torbenson involved with that flow? Or
So I had a conversation with Charlie. He's the Portneuf Medical Center supervisor with the behavioral health techs a month or two ago, maybe 2 months ago. And I was just kind of bringing him up to speed on the assessment center, and talking to the social workers that do those risk assessments in the emergency room. They said they're seeing anywhere from probably on average 10 kids a week for suicidal ideation or aggressive behavior in the emergency room. And once they do their assessment, if they're not hospitalized, they're returning them to the community with a pamphlet of resources. And so as we move forward, my goal is to open a pathway from Portneuf Medical Center and even the Pocatello Children's Clinic for those youth and families that are experiencing the suicidal ideation, and be able to create a pathway to where while in the emergency room or being screened and assessed there, they can sign a release of information, send an email to us to reach out to them, and then we'll have a day to reach out to them and bring them through the screening and assessment process and link them to services.
okay. Well, thank you for pursuing that. That's a big deal.
And my thoughts, my vision, or with what I see, I look at what that building was 6 months ago. It was a car shop, and then you go over there and you look at it right now, and that's what I see our youth. That's what I see for them, changing, and the opportunity and providing that opportunity for them to become something as magnificent as that building is now compared to what it was 6 months ago. So, thank you all for your work. Further questions? Motion?
No, Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we approve the agreement, the program letter of agreement as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're excited. Well, Emma, you're up. So, you can just,
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you later, Matt.
hello.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Emma Iannacone, Public Information Officer here with Todd Mauger, Kate and Amy as well, and we are here to come up with a decision for the logo for the village. You'll see 4 options there. They're all similar, but a little variance to each of them. On the right-hand side, you have the options with the pillars, the ISU pillars inside the Idaho that kind of give a nod to our location and community. And then on the left, without that option, without the pillars, so a little bit cleaner, less busy. And then on the top of each of those, there's the dots in the text, and then on the bottom, without the dots. Todd, do you want to talk a little bit about the design process and why we came to this design?
Well, I'm not artsy guy. They present us with 5 other options. I think as a staff, when we looked at them, we liked the Idaho representation of Idaho on there. I did really like, there is another one, and maybe, did you share that picture with them, Emma? There is
That's,
one.
I was disappointed. This is the first time we've seen them.
Oh,
Should have been in our packet earlier.
Oh, sorry, we were making decisions up until last night as well, so I apologize.
I do like another one that's got kind of the ISU Red Hill in the background. And so I think my idea was to like move that background in with the Idaho, but then I'm not so sure that I like the pillars in the Idaho. It looks a little busy, but I'm definitely not the right person to ask about colors, dressing, or art, so.
And we did use trauma-informed design and colors as well. Our designer is very familiar with trauma-informed design, so that was really helpful. And originally, the colors for the Idaho were a bit more vibrant, but we decided to have them a little bit more, what would you say?
Trauma-informed.
Muted, yeah, trauma-informed. Oh.
Plain and simple for me.
Okay.
Don't like the dots, I like the pillars.
Okay.
You like the pillars?
I do.
Okay.
I like the representation of, on the hill up there, Pocatello, our area. It, instead of all of Idaho, that signifies this is us.
Where we're at, yeah, I agree.
Well, I did not expect that. I thought I knew you. But
Yeah, you were on, you know?
Other comments?
Which one did you have me picked for then, Emma?
Well, I didn't know about you. Like, Ernie's not gonna want that.
I actually like the top left.
Ooh, with the dots and without the.
Yeah, but I also kind of agree with Ernie and Todd. I wouldn't mind some kind of representation as to where, like a star or something in the Bannock County area.
We did, not to interrupt you, but we did play around with the idea of having a triangle where Pocatello was located to represent, you know, our area as well as the history of the neighborhood that the location is in, but we decided against that. I don't know if you want to.
You got it all. I mean, we've messed around with it a little bit.
Yeah, we were going back and forth.
Ladies, you've been involved with all this.
I like your choice, but I also like the plain one. So I'm good with whatever. I think they're all great.
That's the same with me. I think I said that earlier. I said either one's good for me. I like the pillars, but I'm okay with it not being in there too.
And I guess with the pillars, because I've had people say that that's where they go up and find some solace. Up on that hill, they just go up and have their alone time for a minute. And so I guess that's why I identify with the pillars, is that's peace.
Yeah, and it also does represent, I think when you look at our resources, I believe that Idaho State University will provide a lot more resources as we move forward. So I do like it too, now that I think about it a little bit.
You convinced him. Commissioner Crowder, did you have any thoughts?
I'd like to see some other options. There was a fifth option you mentioned that we did not see.
Would you like to see the original options? So the designer came up with 5 very different options for us to choose from, and we all kind of gravitated towards this Idaho one. Those are the other design options.
Yeah, I like some of these better.
I kind of like this top left one here.
That was I think our second favorite.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
Yeah, I like all the 3 on the left better than these 4. And you all know what an expert I am at design. I'm sure you can take that with a grain of salt.
I probably like that one the best myself.
The other one?
This one.
Okay, all right.
Honestly, I don't like the dots and all the stars and all of it. I mean,
It does have the hill with the ISU, the background, which I really like that too, with the pillars.
We can
I'm there as well.
That top left.
To me, that just feels appropriate.
Mhm.
I don't know what appropriate is, but it just
Well-
feels right.
That'd be easy to put on a shirt, or easier to put on a shirt or something as a logo to me than the others.
I just think it's a softer design overall.
Yeah, and I like the heart in the house there. I think that's a good addition. Yeah, I really prefer those.
Me too.
That's where I'm at.
Matt, you haven't said one word.
Did you want to
Well,
see these ones again?
I've seen them.
Okay.
I'm less artsy than Todd. But I do feel like I do like the representation of Idaho, but I do feel like it was busy. I like the softer, I guess that the term is muted tones of the one on the top left, actually all those on the left, but somebody had mentioned, I think, Amy, that one of those looked kind of like the YMCA logo a little bit too much, so I do like that top left one a lot.
Well, that just means we have a theme song. Already set. Everybody knows the moves.
We got the people too.
They can't dance, but they
We
can
can
assess.
dance.
And they're going-
And who sings that?
The village people.
The village people. Oh, goodness.
That's funny.
Well, are we okay if we pick that, or do we need to?
I'm fine with it. It's up to you all.
Amy, you're not liking that?
Amy,
I'm good with whatever.
Well, then, Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we pick that top left one and make it the official logo of the village.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I want to hold on to this, or you want me to take them?
Either way.
Nancy needs a copy.
Yeah. You send her an electronic?
You want a original or just the one I chose?
All right. You're the sheriff today? Yep. Just before we get into this, I was impressed with the showing of your office up there the other day. Thank you.
Well, yeah, good morning, everyone, and Chief Deputy Alex Hamilton, Bannock County Sheriff's Office. Also, I just want to tell the commission, too, that we're pretty tickled about your guys' support during that incident of Albert Luce's passing. That also brings up the first agenda item I wanted to talk to you guys about. As a memorial to Albert and his 14 years of service with Bannock County, we wanted to retire his duty firearm and present that to his wife and his children as a memorial to his service to the county. We'd do this in the same manner as we would treat a firearm as if somebody had retired from the sheriff's office, where we'd have the firearm engraved and placed in a box, so it's more of a memorial than it is just a gun. And anyway, we wanted to come before you guys today and see see about getting permission for that.
No problem here.
No, Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we authorize that memorial gift as requested.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. I know his wife and his children will be very impressed with that in the future. Other two items on the agenda are contract renewals. The first contract renewal is for Leads Online. Leads Online's a service that we use, an online service that basically keeps track of all the items that are pawned in pawn shops, and it has a database, so when we recover property at crime scenes, that we're able to take the serial numbers from those items that have serial numbers, and we can put them on Leads Online and be able to track to see if those items have been pawned by certain individuals that have been stolen or reported stolen. So it's really a very good database for us to, as an investigative skill, to find people that have been pawning stolen property, basically. And so we just need to that's been a tool that we use daily, and we've been using that daily for as long as I can remember, for at least 20 years. and that just came up for renewal. And legal's gone over that and said there was no problems with the contract.
You don't have any concerns?
And it's a great tool, I'll tell you, for prosecution.
No, sounds good.
The next item
Well,
is.
let's do a motion on this.
Oh, sorry.
Quick question on that.
Sure.
When I was reading through this last night, it didn't specify pawn shops only, so can you see transactions outside of pawn shops? So like if you had a debit card and you wanted to see if they'd use that at various locations, you can use this for that?
You know what, there are some methods where you're able to track some financial documentation too. Yeah, you're able to do that, but mostly we use it for that property searches.
So the pawn shops are entering in a serial number and then it checks against this database in here? Or this, they go back and forth anyway?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's a really good tool. I mean, I just personally in my career, I can think of several felony arrests that I've made just because of leads online and be able to track property that's been stolen back to the individual that pawned it at a pawn shop from a major burglary crime scene that we investigated.
So do you get like an email or some kind of notification if a hot serial number pops in the system? Or is it
This
just
is like a self-generated website. Like you have to go in and take your information and put it into the website, and then it'll like give you a hit or it'll have a match and it'll show a match. So.
Okay, so you actually have to go be looking for something?
Yes.
Okay.
Also too, we also help other smaller agencies that don't have this. They'll, as part of their investigation too, and like the prosecutor's office, there's other. It's pretty spread out and helps a lot of people.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we accept and approve the agency agreement with Leads Online.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item is our medical contract with Ivy Medical. Sheriff presented this at our last budget meeting. It's just time for the renewal for that contract. As we told you in the budget hearing that, the cost of the medical contract has gone up. It's just kind of what's going on in the medical world right now. They're them having to pay for their liability insurance, staffing, and the cost of medical supplies and medical treatment has caused, the increase that we told you about at the budget meeting. And really the only difference from this contract and our former contracts, except for the base level price that we're paying, is we were able to negotiate with Ivy Medical. Prior, what we would do is any medical supplies that were over $500, we'd have to pay for it, and we've increased that amount to $1,000, so that they're paying for all the medical supplies that are under $1,000, where before it was at $500. Also, part of on their end of the new negotiation on this new contract is if we have rented beds or inmates that are not ours inmates, that we do have to notify them of who has to pay their bills. So just kind of some little small cleanup on some billing information so they know who to bill and who to send their bills to, so they don't lose money on their end. But the rest of it's pretty much the same. One of the things that we did change to, just for some information, is a lot of these people would come in with like prescribed inhalers, which are super expensive for us, and I mean, actually they come in with not the prescribed, but the over-the-counter kind, and then the Ivy Medical is trying to get us to pay for the prescription inhalers, which was a big cost to us, and we were able to negotiate that out of the contract too, so where they're paying for all the inhalers on that end of things too.
Okay. And this takes effect July.
I think it's September.
Is it? I thought I read July of.
I thought it was October to September, but we've always renewed it in July, is what my
Okay, maybe that
understanding.
was, but as I was looking through there, that was my concern. Effective October 1st, okay. Well, I read July, and I was wondering about this year's budget because of the increase, but the top line, I just went over.
Once upon a time, we tried to get all the contracts on a fiscal year basis.
Okay,
I don't
October
know that
1st.
we've done it yet, but we're getting there.
So what's the deadline to have this signed?
Well, the contract ends in September, the current contract, from my
And
understanding.
You looked at this as well?
Has Alan looked at it from my office? I was
Yes,
out,
I
was
was-
out last week, so Alan was.
I was told that it has gone through you, but
Because when I went through it, I did find some mistakes in the contract, minor, typos, things of that nature. But I think it'd be good to fix them.
okay, we can look at fixing those too.
So you want to review with legal?
Yeah, I think wouldn't be a bad idea. We could get this on next week if that's all right. That would
Okay.
fit everyone's schedule.
That'd be fine with me. I mean, if you have some things that you picked up that
Yeah.
you'd like to change, then we'll put it back on the agenda for next week after they make minor adjustments.
Okay.
Just real quick question on that. Have you been happy with Ivy and what they've been doing for you?
Yeah, actually, we've been very, very happy. We're really pleased with the commission and what they've done with our medical. We are very fortunate that you guys have supported us where we have 24-hour medical care at our facility. And I think we've brought this before you in the past, but there was an incident here not too long ago in the past where we actually had one of our inmates had a runny nose, and if it would have just been probably a regular jail staff, they would have been on the lights, a runny nose, but actually this person had some brain injuries, and if this wouldn't have been caught by the medical staff and that person taken to the emergency room, they probably would have lost their life. And also, just looking at some of these conferences we go to, talking to these other medical providers, this increase that we're seeing is not much different than what we're seeing across the board from what the other medical providers are doing in increasing their costs. And we've had a really good working relationship with Ivy Medical, and we feel that they've really given the county a bang for their buck. And we're a very good working partner with them.
And then just to clarify a statement that you made, if we are housing a prisoner from, say, Bonneville County, and that prisoner needs some medical attention and they take care of it while they're here with us, Ivy Medical would then bill Bonneville County, not us?
Correct.
Okay, all right,
Yes.
good. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, and that was part of the contract, we're cleaning up some of that language to make sure that we.
And
that
have
with
they
them.
had, are these guys having a medical person at the jail 24/7,
Yes.
365?
Well, there's sometimes when they're not able to do that,
Yeah.
but we also have contracted with them too when they're not able to, like some nights they might not have somebody there that we've contracted to have them there. They have to pay us back for not having a person there.
Okay.
That was in the contract.
Yeah, and that's part of the contract too.
Just $45 an hour.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good working deal for us, if,
Yeah.
because sometimes they just have staffing problems and we don't suffer from that, well, except for the fact that they're not there.
Right.
So if we have an issue and they don't have somebody on staff, how do we handle that?
Just like we wouldn't, if we just have to call them, to take them up to the hospital ourselves, or call
Okay.
for an ambulance if the situation
Okay.
determined that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no, thank you guys.
Christie? You're up.
Mr. Falls with Comptroller. I have, Adam, do you want to put? I have before you agreement. UKG bought out our Novatime timekeeping software. And so we were just going to make the transition to the new system. We had the option to do timekeeping through Tyler. That system is not ideal. So when we implemented Tyler, we opted not to utilize that. Plus, Novatime has been good.
Very
We've not got any
good,
issues.
yes.
So we just opted to keep with the history we have within the system and then also continue with them. Adam's been 100% involved with the demo, talking about the go live. I had Alan look at this agreement. He had no concerns. We're proposing a September 9th go live date, which is the beginning of a pay period. They claim we're not going to see much of a transition.
In the demo, it looked like it's very one-to-one. I mean, and again, I feel, and Christy feels, that people are going to get this pretty quickly because it involves their paychecks. So the impetus is to learn how to use the new timekeeping system pretty quickly.
And we could run parallel if we had to.
Yes, they did offer us the ability to do both as well.
So,
if we
and
need to.
the-
And we were able to negotiate the transaction fee. They wanted to to charge us a fairly large implementation fee, and we were able to negotiate about 80-90% off of the original implementation fee.
I was a little chapped with that. Are they?
We thought the
Is it a
same.
substantial change?
It was,
I mean,
in our opinion, from looking at the demo, no, it does not look like a very substantial change. But the way they explained it to us, completely new system, completely new database. So the data is going to be, it's not just a one-for-one migration over. They've actually got to take it and plug it into the new system. But from the endpoint user's perspective, for people putting their time in, it doesn't look like it'll be much of a change for them. Or for the data we get out of it, the same reporting that will go into Tyler will come out of it too.
So
That was my beef is,
what?
Yeah, we felt the
had
same
exact
way.
same thing. We're like.
We felt the same
Okay.
way.
Our office will cover the one-time fee, and then the recurring fee is covered within.
Yeah, and it's actually
Budget.
almost identical pricing. I think it was about a $90 price difference. So we did include that in the budget request for next year just to make sure that that's covered, but it's about the same, so.
On this recurring fee, we're paying a price per employee
Yes.
Yeah.
on this thing. And I see you have the number here, if I'm reading this correctly, attachment A, it says there's 498. I'm assuming that's the estimated number of employees, which we don't have close to that.
There's employees, there's
Supervisors.
supervisors, there's admin.
Yeah.
So it includes all users. So it's in order for the employees to use it on, so like I have two
Yeah,
logins.
I do as
have
well.
my personal, and then I have my admin. So I'm an employee and admin. So we have multiple, that's why it's more than the number of employees we have.
Okay.
Because we have to have a user to be able to approve the timesheets. We have to have a user for payroll to be able to go in and pull the timesheets. So it's on basically a user login basis.
Okay, so that you guys are comfortable that that's the right number of people that
Yeah.
need to be
And it
looking
may
at this.
fluctuate, I mean, we may add one or two here and
Yeah.
there, just simply because we used to have less supervisors.
Yeah.
And then we've started to break those out so that the supervisors are actually individuals as opposed to a generic user. So with a few exceptions, like there's one commission login to approve timesheets so that you can approve Braden's. But Braden used to be combined with that, now he's his own. So.
Okay, but you guys like this system?
Yeah.
You like it? Yeah, okay.
And with still working on Tyler, I would prefer to keep this one fairly similar as opposed to have to learn a new system and Tyler.
Yeah, it integrates with everything
Yeah.
we've used very well. I definitely did have concerns that we were not using the Tyler timekeeping system. We've mentioned that. But after looking at why we're not using it, this is a much better option for us. And it's not to say we won't eventually get to Tyler. That's possible someday.
If they
But
make some changes.
yeah, currently this is by far and away one of the better timekeeping systems we've looked at, so.
Okay. Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we approve the, is it Data Pro contract?
UKG.
UKG contract as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, Heather.
Absolutely.
All right, Braden, you're up.
All right, Braden Clayson, Chief of Staff. Before you today, I have brought for signature the renewal of our forensic pathologist consultant contract. Initially, we had that set up January through June for 6 months. As we, excuse me, as we kind of venture down this road to the end of the fiscal year, we're seeking to renew her for 3 more months. There was budget, I checked with Christie on that, since we haven't expended or used any of those funds from last year's budget. We're clear there. But going forward, and especially in the recruitment of trying to find another doctor for the forensic pathology project, I feel her help is vital, and the associations that she's able to kind of dip into to get doctors that are looking to move or find new areas.
Okay. And we had a conversation and we're given basically 3 more months to try to find this, so.
How many months have we been looking for a doctor now?
About 9.
9 months.
Yeah, when 40 graduate a year, there's pretty slim pickings.
Yeah, and I've said this ad nauseum, so I'm not gonna go through all of my reasoning and so on, but honestly, I don't see I prefer not to even continue looking for a pathologist, but I know I'm probably not in the majority on this.
Well, and that's where I say, I have some concerns, and I've kind of given a deadline, and so I want to go with that at this time. She's been hired since
We started her
February,
in January.
January?
Yeah.
When she, okay.
Yep.
So I'll go ahead and make the motion that we go ahead and sign this contract to extend this for the 3-month period.
Okay.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No, I mean, or whatever I'm supposed to say to be opposed.
Me? Passes 2-1. And Jason left, so Nancy gets the opportunity. All right, let's go into the Board of Ambulance.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we enter into the Board of Ambulance.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Christensen, Bannock County Ambulance and Pocatello Fire. I am just before you today requesting permission to surplus an older ambulance according to the terms of a grant that we received last year.
And this is going to auction this time.
Yes.
Is there anywhere else in the county that we could use this for anything?
You know, I have not checked with other county departments. Do you have suggestions on who I could contact? It doesn't matter in the terms of the grant. It just needs to not be an ambulance anymore.
The last one, we went to the coroner's office for a little bit with, and they couldn't utilize it.
Okay.
So.
And that's kind of what we've seen in most of the ambulances we've donated to people, especially these older ones, is they'll think it's a good idea and then it ends up going to auction anyway.
Well, I'm sure it's been ridden hard a few times
Yeah.
and put away wet. So, yeah, I have no heartburn with that. Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we authorize surplusing the ambulance as requested.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Would you, I was a little late on that, would you like to amend that to include the chairman can sign the title? Or do you want us to bring the title next week?
I'm okay with that. Are
And
you
that
okay
way
with that?
grab it and bring it, and then your office can just
Yeah,
go get it for
okay.
us.
As long as
ready to drive it
we're
over.
still in Board of Ambulance, let's just go ahead and make another motion.
All right, so Mr. Chair, I would authorize your signature on title when presented.
We have a motion.
Appropriate.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Great,
thank you.
I'll that title and get it down to you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we now exit the Board of Ambulance.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we have two resolutions. Resolution number 2023-63. This is a resolution to approve June 2023 salaries. And we have resolution 2023-64, tax cancellation request.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion on resolution 2023-63 and -64 that we approve them as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have tax cancellation request. Nancy needs to sign these too. On this tax cancellation, the one says canceled remaining 2022 tax dollars, School District 25, and this is the Allstate building. I called Anita this morning and found out what that one was. So,
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we accept the assessor's recommendation on tax cancellations and approve them as presented.
we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have alcohol license. Birthday party. And then we have minutes for June 20th, or June 30th, July 3rd, July 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th. They're all under the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we approve the alcohol license as presented and approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And with all that being said and done, we